the news first came out, it was reported that there was a body in his car that had been there for an extended period of time before being found. It was too badly decomposed to be identified.
David's girlfriend's body was found in his Tesla, but many gave him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe he didn't do it.
I even said to a friend when it first came out, I was like, I feel like the Fortnite kid who's pretty normal didn't do something like this.
But now his driver's license was inside that very car, directly tying him to the murder. Why did he kill her? And why was the truth buried for so long? I have got the full story. Let's get into it. The day the block got shook. Picture this, September 8th, 2025. Just another Tuesday morning at the Hollywood Tow Yard, where working folks are just trying to get their bread. But on this particular day, the workers at Hollywood Tow on Mansfield Avenue caught a whiff of something that would haunt their dreams for years to come. That funky smell wasn't no leftover Chinese food or dirty gym socks. Nah, this was the smell of death, straight up. When these dudes popped the front trunk of this abandoned Tesla, they found some sick mess that nobody should ever have to see. Wrapped up in a bag like yesterday's garbage was the decomposed, chopped up body of what would later be identified as 15-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez. Baby girl was so far gone that it took the medical examiner over a week just to figure out who she was, having to rely on dental records and a distinctive tattoo to confirm what everybody in the streets already suspected. But here's where this story gets real twisted. This wasn't just any random whip sitting in some lot. This Tesla belonged to David Anthony Burke, better known to millions of fans as David, that 20-year-old pretty boy who went from making Fortnite videos in his mama's basement to dropping chart-topping hits that had all the suburban kids in their feelings. Dude was supposed to be this wholesome church-going artist who made music about love and heartbreak. Turns out he was keeping some real dark secrets.
The investigation into singer David has intensified after the body of a teenager was discovered in a Tesla that has been linked to him. From canceled tours to social media revelations, new developments are raising serious questions about their supposed relationship and the ongoing probe.
Now check this timeline, because this mess gets more foul by the minute. This Tesla had been sitting abandoned in the Hollywood Hills for damn near 3 weeks before anybody even bothered to tow it. Neighbors was talking about how the car kept moving around the block since May, like somebody was playing some sick game of musical parking spots. The city finally got tired of complaints and towed this ride on September 5th, but it took another 3 days for the yard workers to discover the horror show waiting in the trunk.
That's why when the news first broke, most people just assumed he couldn't have possibly done it. I even said to a friend when it first came out, I was like, I feel like the Fortnite kid who's pretty normal didn't do something like this, because that was always the impression that I got from him, but that may not be the case.
This little girl, Celeste, man, this story breaks your heart into a million pieces. She had just turned 15 the day before they found her body, which means she never even got to blow out her birthday candles. Baby girl was just a regular teenager who loved Hello Kitty and probably dreamed about growing up and getting out the hood like every other kid in her situation. Celeste had been going missing on and off since 2024, with her people reporting her gone at least 3 different times. Her last disappearance went down in April 2024 when she was only 13 or 14 years old. Her family had been looking for their baby girl for over a year when the worst possible news finally came knocking at their door. Now here's what really got the hood heated. The response from David's camp was straight disrespectful. His people put out some weak-ass statement saying dude had been informed about what happened and was fully cooperating with authorities, while this fool was still out here performing like nothing happened. This clown was literally on stage the night after they found the body, throwing merchandise to crowds like he was celebrating. The audacity was unreal.
According to NBC, a spokesperson for David said he has been informed about what's happened, and although he is still out on tour, he is fully cooperating with the authorities. But he would have been touring for over a month before the body was decomposed, according to his tour dates.
But let me tell you, once the streets started talking, the industry moved fast to distance themselves from this mess. Brands like Crocs and Hollister dropped his contracts quicker than a hot plate, not trying to catch any heat from this scandal. His record label Interscope and all their partners put the brakes on promoting his upcoming album, and other artists like Kaylee Uchis started scrubbing their collaborations with him from the internet. When the money starts running, you know something real bad went down. The geography of this whole situation was sus as hell too. This Tesla got towed from right around the corner from the Hollywood Hills crib where David was staying, a spot his manager was renting for 20 bands a month. This wasn't some random location across town. This fool basically dumped a body in his own backyard and thought nobody would connect the dots.
So also, we got a picture of David in Lake Elsinore, which is in Riverside County. It's about 70 miles from downtown Los Angeles, far away from where he was living.
But
and
it's where Celeste is from.
it's a 5-minute walk from
This
where
parking
Celeste's
lot, the
family.
photo.
The LAPD's Robbery Homicide Division took over the case, but their response was moving slower than molasses in January. They kept saying David wasn't officially a suspect and that the cause of death was deferred pending more tests. This cautious approach had people in the community heated, especially when you consider how different the response might have been if this was some rich white girl from Beverly Hills instead of a brown girl from the hood. The fans were going through it too, trying to wrap their heads around how their clean-cut idol could be mixed up in something this foul. This was the same dude who talked about faith and following your dreams, who seemed like the type to help old ladies cross the street. The cognitive dissonance was real. How could someone who presented himself as so pure be involved in something this dark and twisted? But those of us who really know the streets understand that the most dangerous predators are often the ones who look the most innocent. They use that clean image as camouflage, a way to get close to their victims without raising suspicion. The more wholesome they appear on the surface, the darker the secrets they might be hiding underneath. Social media was going absolutely crazy with theories and speculation, but the smart ones were waiting for more facts to come out. Because in cases like this, the truth is often stranger and more disturbing than any fiction you could imagine. What started as a routine day at a tow yard had uncovered what appeared to be years of predatory behavior hiding behind a carefully crafted public image. The entertainment industry was holding its breath, knowing that whatever came next would change how people viewed not just David, but the whole culture of young stardom and the potential for exploitation that lurks in the shadows of fame. The streets were about to learn some hard truths about their favorite artists, and the reckoning was just getting started. As investigators started digging deeper, it became clear this wasn't going to be some quick resolution. This was the beginning of a story that would expose the dark underbelly of the music industry and force everyone to confront some uncomfortable truths about power, exploitation, and the price of fame in America. The receipts started dropping. First piece of evidence that had the hood talking was when Celeste's mama spoke to TMZ and dropped some serious tea. She told them her baby girl had this distinctive shish tattoo on her right index finger, the same exact tattoo that they found on the remains. But here's where it gets real spooky. David had the exact same shish tattoo on his right index finger. Now, matching tattoos between fans and artists ain't nothing new, but given the circumstances, this coincidence was hitting different.
Yeah, well, she was basically talking about how the one of the identifying features of Celeste was a tattoo on her finger, which she specified to us, which we then transferred over to that information to LAPD, was that the tattoo was red.
But the real bombshell dropped when Celeste's mother revealed that her daughter had been dating somebody named David before she went missing. This wasn't just some fan who got a tattoo to show love for her favorite artist. This was allegedly somebody who was in a full relationship with this grown man while she was still playing with dolls.
That.
Right, but
And also,
and I think even more importantly, was that she mentioned that Celeste, at least she was under the impression that Celeste was dating a guy called David, and that she had hung out with him several times before, and that was the last time she saw him.
The timeline of this alleged relationship was making everybody's stomach turn. Word on the street was that David first got in contact with Celeste when she was around 11 or 12 years old, probably through some gaming platform like Roblox. One of her teachers from Lakeland Village Middle School even put up a TikTok video saying Celeste had told her classmates she met David online and had run away to be with him, only to get brought back home by the police before disappearing for good in April 2024. Think about the power dynamic here for a minute. When this alleged grooming started, Celeste was still losing baby teeth while David was already a teenager with clout and money. By 2022, when David was around 17, 18 years old, Celeste would have been just 11, 12. That age gap wasn't just inappropriate, it was straight up criminal behavior that should have landed this fool in somebody's county jail a long time ago. The digital evidence was stacking up like bodies in a morgue. Internet detectives started finding screenshots from David's Discord server showing conversations about his relationship with somebody named Celeste, with some of these messages going back to 2022. Even more disturbing was evidence suggesting that David had told his moderators to delete traces of their interactions, which showed this dude knew damn well that what he was doing was wrong. The visual evidence was even more damning. Multiple photos started circulating allegedly showing David and Celeste together, usually with her face covered or turned away from the camera, a detail that took on sinister meaning when you realized why a grown man would need to hide a little girl's identity. One particularly damaging image supposedly showed them wearing matching outfits and displaying their matching tattoos like some twisted couple's portrait. The geographical connections were sus as hell too. A photo surfaced showing David in a parking lot just 5 minutes from Celeste's family crib in Lake Elsinore, which is about 70 miles from his bougie lifestyle in Los Angeles. What business did this industry plant have being in that working class neighborhood unless he was specifically there to see somebody named Celeste? But the most chilling evidence came straight from David's own music, like this fool was leaving breadcrumbs for investigators to follow. An unreleased track called Celeste had leaked back in December 2023 with lyrics that sounded like he knew this girl intimately. Oh, Celeste, the girl with my name tattooed on her chest. Smell her on my clothes like cigarettes. I hear her voice each time I take a breath. I'm obsessed.
Celeste, the girl with my name tattooed on her chest. I'm obsessed. Oh, Celeste, afraid you only love me when I'm dead.
The timing of his releases was no coincidence either. The music video for Romantic Homicide dropped on September 7th, Celeste's birthday. This wasn't just one random date, but part of what looked like a pattern of David releasing content on dates that were significant to Celeste. When you go back and listen to Romantic Homicide with fresh ears, those lyrics hit completely different. In the back of my mind, you died, and I didn't even regret it. I can't believe I said it, but it's true. What fans thought was just artistic expression about a breakup now sounded like a confession straight from the killer's mouth. People in the LA music scene started coming forward saying they'd seen David with a young woman they thought was 19 and a college student, not knowing they were actually looking at a 14-year-old middle schooler with fake IDs. This deception allowed Celeste to get into age-restricted venues like clubs and concerts, showing how this predator had created a whole system to enable his abuse. The evidence went beyond just their relationship to suggestions of more recent contact. Private investigators working the case theorized that Celeste might have died from an overdose, leading to panic and attempts to cover up her death. Even if David didn't directly cause her death, this theory suggested he chose to cover up her overdose rather than call for help, still making him responsible for her death through his criminal negligence. Security footage from March 2024 showed Celeste near a liquor store in Lake Elsinore, marking one of her last confirmed sightings before vanishing permanently. Her brother later revealed the devastating detail that the last time their family saw Celeste alive was when she left to see a movie with someone named David, in the exact same black Tesla where her decomposed body would later be discovered. As all this evidence piled up like dirty laundry, it became impossible to dismiss these connections as coincidence. The matching tattoos, the alleged relationship, the geographical proximity, the artistic references, the timing of releases, and ultimately finding her body in his whip. It all painted a picture of a relationship that had been going on for years, hidden from the public eye, and had ended in the worst possible way. When the feds came knocking and the truth got real. By the time law enforcement decided to get serious about this case, the streets had already done half their job for them. The evidence was stacked so high, you could see it from space, and the pressure from the community was getting too loud to ignore. On September 17th, 2025, LAPD's Robbery Homicide Division finally rolled up to that Hollywood Hills mansion where David had been laying his head, ready to turn that place inside out, looking for evidence. This bougie crib that David was renting for $20,000 a month through his manager was sitting right around the corner from where they found his Tesla abandoned. During that raid, which lasted for hours, investigators walked out with computers, electronics, and multiple evidence bags. Plus, they were testing for blood evidence that might connect that location to Celeste's murder.
TMZ confirmed that a house David was living in was searched by the LAPD. The house was being rented by his manager from Interscope, but there are a ton of pictures and videos of him in the house over the past year. Apparently, LAPD homicide detectives searched the house Wednesday and walked out with a computer and several evidence bags.
The timing of this raid had people in the hood questioning whether the police were moving too slow on purpose. For over a week, authorities knew about the body in that Tesla but didn't move aggressively against David, letting him continue touring and potentially destroying evidence. This delay had people wondering if celebrity status was buying this predator extra time to cover his tracks. The community response was swift and powerful. Vigils popped up in Celeste's hometown of Lake Elsinore, where folks from the neighborhood came together demanding justice for a little girl whose life got cut short by some sick individual's twisted desires. Social media campaigns with #JusticeForCeleste started trending, with people sharing information and keeping pressure on authorities to make an arrest. Meanwhile, in some twisted irony, David's streaming numbers actually went up after the news broke, with Romantic Homicide climbing back up the charts as people revisited his lyrics with new understanding. This sick fascination showed how true crime can sometimes boost a perpetrator's profile instead of destroying it. But his career was still getting demolished from multiple angles. Festival organizers like Spilt Milk 2025 dropped him from their lineups. He had to cancel his entire US tour plus planned European dates, and his scheduled Grammy Museum appearance got scrubbed from their website.
Yeah, he didn't do it.
He's not a murderer?
No.
Thank God, bro, because I was still gonna listen to his music. I was just worried that I'd be an asshole if I did.
No, listen, he didn't do it. He literally performed the next day. If he was a suspect, the police would have been after him. He's not a suspect.
He's not just escaping the police clutches?
No. And I'm going to perform. We're going to perform on the 20th, me and David.
Tesla.
I don't think it's him because he's been on tour.
No,
but also,
I don't think it's him either. I think it's like almost obviously not him.
Even his most loyal supporters started switching sides when they couldn't ignore the mounting evidence. Streamer Jason the Ween, who had initially defended David on camera, ended up retracting his statements and unfollowing him on social media, showing how quickly public opinion was shifting as more facts came to light.
I feel like I need to speak on this, okay? Be serious for a minute, because the narrative that's been spun on Twitter. First off, I want to retract my statement. Obviously, the other day, I was defending David before all the new evidence came out. I do not condone anything that David has done or is doing.
Other celebrities and influencers who had been connected to David started unfollowing him in droves, creating a clear pattern of industry professionals running from this scandal like their careers depended on it.
By the way, guys, if you see anyone asking about the David situation, I completely understand why they would. Please refer them to either my tweet or my IG story.
The investigation started revealing even more disturbing details about the alleged relationship. Internet investigators uncovered what appeared to be Discord messages suggesting that Celeste had been pregnant, with messages from July 2024 indicating she was supposed to give birth in March 2025. If true, this pregnancy would have provided powerful motive for murder, since having a baby would have made it impossible to hide their illegal relationship. The photographic evidence kept growing too. More images surfaced allegedly showing them together in various locations, often with Celeste's face hidden but wearing distinctive items that matched her known belongings. Security footage and witness statements placed them together on multiple occasions, creating a timeline of interaction that went back years. The most damning evidence continued to be David's own artistic work, which was starting to look like a serial killer's diary set to music. His 2022 song Decide contained the lyrics, "Save your tears 7 years," exactly the time it would take for an 11-year-old to reach legal age. This wasn't artistic metaphor. This was a roadmap for grooming. The unreleased Celeste track contained even more explicit references, describing intimate details that suggested firsthand knowledge of the victim. The fact that this song was recorded in 2023, during the time when Celeste was missing, implied their contact had continued right up until her death. Even David's live performances took on sinister new meaning, with reports that he regularly brought funeral props to his concerts, asking audience members to write letters to dead people. What seemed like edgy artistic expression now looked like a predator celebrating his crime in front of thousands of witnesses. As October arrives, Celeste's body was finally released to her family for burial, marking the end of one chapter of their pain, but the beginning of what would likely be years of legal proceedings. A GoFundMe campaign was set up to help with funeral expenses, as the family struggled with both grief and the financial burden of laying their baby girl to rest. Meanwhile, David had moved out of his Hollywood Hills rental and his whereabouts became unknown. Reports suggested he was still cooperating with authorities through his lawyers, but no arrests had been made despite all the evidence. Legal experts explained that the delay in arrests was due to waiting for complete autopsy and toxicology results, which could take 60, 120 days to finish. Without knowing the exact cause and manner of death, prosecutors couldn't bring the most serious murder charges, though the existing evidence would likely support charges related to exploiting a minor, regardless of how Celeste died. The case had transformed from a shocking discovery in a tow yard to one of the most disturbing scandals in recent entertainment history. The evidence suggested not just a crime of opportunity, but a systematic pattern of grooming, manipulation, and ultimately murder that had been hidden behind the mask of a rising young star. As investigators continued building their case and the community demanded justice, one thing was crystal clear. The wholesome, faith-based image that David had cultivated was nothing but a front for something much darker underneath. The Tesla containing Celeste's remains wasn't just a crime scene. It was the final piece of evidence in a puzzle that revealed years of predatory behavior targeting an innocent child. The case would probably take months or years to work through the legal system, but the court of public opinion had already made its decision. The evidence was too overwhelming, too connected, and too damning to dismiss as coincidence. The question wasn't whether David was involved in Celeste's death anymore. It was what charges would finally be filed and what justice would look like for a 15-year-old girl whose life got stolen way too soon. The streets had done their job exposing this predator, and now it was time for the system to do theirs and make sure justice was served for Celeste and her family. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed watching this video, click on one of the boxes playing on your screen to watch more similar content.